From service to strength, from questions to choice, guidance you trust, her vet voice.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Her Vet Voice, where our mission is to help veterans become informed, empower, and prepare them to navigate all things VA. We are going to break down some legislation today, hearings, policy changes, so you can understand how this may impact your family. So, tonight, life is a little different. Instead of a new hearing or proposed legislation, we are going back to the beginning of Dougie. Yes, the confirmation hearing. Why? I know you may ask, because I do believe that it's important to occasionally look back and compare to what was promised with what we've seen over the past year. Now, during his confirmation hearing, he spoke about improving the Department of Veteran Affairs, reducing bureaucracy, modernizing technology, supporting veterans, increasing accountability, and strengthening the delivery of benefits in healthcare. So since then, we have definitely seen a lot has happened. We've covered all the hearings on the TCAVA, the proposed changes to disability evaluations, the technology modernization, the DBQs, provider fraud, investigation, budget discussions, and a whole lot more of issues that are affecting veterans in our community. So, guess what we're doing tonight? We are going to compare the record, where we visit some of Secretary Collins' statements from his confirmation hearing and discuss where we think things stand tonight. Okay? And I think this is going to be some live camera action. This, I'm going to say this, is not attacking Secretary Collins or making any assumptions. We are just reviewing what he said, examining what has happened so far, and we are having an informed discussion about the progress that has been made and continue to talk about the challenges that yet remain. Okay. So, as always, I encourage respectful conversation in the chat. If you are agreeing or if you're disagreeing, let me know, but it's okay because we can have a difference of opinion. If you see it differently, that's okay. My goal here, HVV family, is to create a space where veterans can come and discuss everything and anything that's important to them, to include the issues, while we are staying focused on the facts and the dialogue of Secretary Collins. So, before we get started, if you have not, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to his channel. If you're new here, share the live with another veteran who may find it helpful. Now, let's get into good old Secretary Collins' confirmation hearing. But before I do that, let's see who's here and let's chat it up for a little bit. Let's go. What's up, 66? How are you? Good to have you here. Y'all hit the like button and subscribe because we are getting down with the getting down. Good evening, AF veteran. It is good to see you. MCM, what's good? Brina, my namesake, it's always good to see you. Hope you have an amazing day. Benny, what's good? Hello. The Mad Researcher, as always, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. My good friend and brother, the one and only Royal Rock Wellness. Good evening, Craig. I know you're listening in the background. Everyone say hi. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Give me some good pointers as we go into this confirmation hearing. Now, I know y'all gonna cut up. Richard, good to see you. Thank you for popping in. Listen, I want to say thank you guys for hanging out with me last night because we had a time. We did have a time. The comments never disappoint. Never disappoint. So thank y'all for hanging with me, talking about TCAVA. Actually, I got some good information. A couple of people left some comments, and I'm glad that we were able to, share what our feelings are when it comes to TCAVA, especially with the changes that the VA is making. the VFW, the DAV, and all the other people and their friends. It was good to have good conversation. So I genuinely like coming here to chit chat with you guys. And I had a time. We definitely had a time last night. And my mom was not watching, so you guys were good and safe. I don't think she's watching right now. But anyway, if you are, what up, Mom? I hope you're having a great Sunday. So let's get into it. Are y'all ready? Yeah. Let's. I know Miss K. I know you here, Miss K. What up, Minnie? Mona, how are ya? Yes, we are live. We going back to when Dougie was confirmed, y'all. Okay, we going back to when Dougie was confirmed. We're going back to see what he says compared to what's happening now. Now we are not bashing Dougie. We are just listening to what was said compared to what's happening now. Now I know the comments is not going to disappoint. I know y'all not going to disappoint in the comments. So this is a pretty long I'm here, and I think it's about 2 hours. That's why I started early so that we can get ahead of the game because we're going to be here for a minute. Wait, what you said? Hey, Mom, I'm quiet and innocent. Listen, I don't think she watching because she would have texted me by now and said, hey, baby girl, I'm watching. So I don't think she's watching. She's probably out doing her thing, probably in the store somewhere. But anyway, let's get started. I gotta take it back to I want to take it to the part where Dougie starts to talk a little bit. And I want to get that part. I want to make sure that he gets his full light that he needs. But before Dougie gets ready to talk, there's going to be a person who is going to be introducing him and talking about how he is as a person. And that's where we're going to start today before Dougie gets into his confirmation hearing. So make sure y'all have y'all good outfits on. We are at the cookout today. We are serving everything on the meal, but we are going to be on our best behavior. Do y'all hear me? We're going to be on our best behavior today. If you are watching, this is the confirmation hearing of Secretary Collins. And the reason why we're watching this, we are looking to go back as to what he discussed in January of 2025 compared to what's happening right now in July of 2026. I feel like it's important for us to go back and see what he said compared to what's happening now, okay? Because that's how you find a lot. I'll say I had high hopes for him when I first heard he was a nominee. Well, how you feeling now, MCM? Let us know. We at the cookout, okay? We at the cookout. We at the cookout. My mama not watching. Y'all okay? All right, y'all ready? Let's go.
Thank you, Chairman Moran, Ranking Member Blumenthal. The titles look good on both of you. I'm looking forward to a productive term. And it is a great honor and really a blessing for me to be able to be here to
hit the like button.
My former colleague, friend,
yes, y'all can.
Navy veteran, military chaplain, accomplished attorney, Doug Collins. In fact, if we were to write up, there's a lot of talk these days about people being quote unqualified for these positions, when the reality is in our great system of self-governance, the only qualification is that the elected people want you. And but if we were to write up the qualifications for a VA administrator, for a VA secretary, Doug Collins' picture would probably be right next to the description. Working with Doug on big bipartisan things, I remember in the House, one of the most unlikely things in the world for me to get involved in was copyright law and looking out for the rights of songwriters. And yet somehow Doug's big personality and big brain sucked me right in.
What are we doing?
I did. It was important work. And it was kind of really precedent-setting work in the area of entertainment. But he's got that kind of a personality, an engaging personality that attracts people to what he's working on. And I think that says a lot. I mentioned he's an accomplished attorney. because that's really important. That's an important part of both understanding, Senator Blumenthal, the law and enforcing the law, carrying out the laws, defending the laws that are passed by Congress and become part of the bureaucracy. Obviously, him being a veteran, the Navy and Air Force reservist is important. He relates directly.
A veteran? January 2025? A veteran? I thought he was still in the... Anyway, okay, I'm going on.
To the experiences of our veterans. He was deployed to Iraq. He knows a thing or two about the experience of the veteran. I think that's part of what, to your point, Senator Blumenthal, makes the VA care so special. It's not that they're better doctors or better psychiatrists or better nurses or technicians. It's that they're empathetic. That's what I hear from my veterans so oftentimes is, while they appreciate access to community care, they appreciate the empathy of a fellow veteran.
I already drank all my coffee.
And Doug brings that. But guys, he's a chaplain. I mean, come on. How perfect is that? Because to me, one of my great frustrations about the VA, I mean, just this last summer, a $15 billion shortfall is announced. Where was all the communication before that? Where was the transparency that we would seek before that? Well, it was a little CYA, I think. And then suddenly, panic sets in, fear and anxiety, uncertainty, even to the point where Congress itself passed a supplemental. We all remember it very well. A supplemental where a single dollar was never used because lo and behold, there wasn't a $15 billion shortfall. How does that happen in a competent agency that's looking out for the veteran? And so Doug brings, he brings first he brings the legislative experience. He helped pass the VA Act, the VA Mission Act, the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Acts, these things that provided the transparency which we seek. He knows the intent of Congress. He's a lawyer who understands them.
A lawyer?
But he's a chaplain who understands the recipient and the need at the moment. And I'm just really, really grateful that he's my friend. I've known many, many good people, Republicans and Democrats, who've sought a position in the VA. And every one of them was well-intentioned. And every one of them was certain that they would break through, that they would be the one that would make the difference, that they'd be the one that would take the opportunities for care closer to home and put them on the front page of the website instead of burying them deep so that they never find them. But we do have now in the commander-in-chief and a cabinet that he's picking, people who will put the veteran first, not the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is important. The service providers are important. But the most important person is the veteran. And that's who Doug Collins will look out for. And I'm really, really, really grateful that he's my friend, that he's willing to step into this gap, and I'm ready to support him in every way possible. And so I introduce to you Congressman Doug Collins.
Senator Kramer, thank you for your statement and support, your introduction of the nominee, and thank you for your membership and efforts and hard work on this committee. Douglas A. Collins, you and I need to rise, and I'm going to ask you to take an oath. Would you raise your right hand?
I cannot. We just got.
Do you, Congressman Doug Collins, solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give before the United States Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
I want y'all to see what he said. We're going to get into conversation in a minute.
Congressman, thank you again for being here, and we will now eagerly await your testimony.
Hit the like button.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Blumenthal, the rest of this committee and the Steams Committee, and looking around this committee, seeing people that I've worked with before on both sides of the aisle, and it's good to see you, and especially to the new members as well. I'm honored to be sitting here to be the nominee for the next Secretary of the VA. I'd like to thank my friend Kevin Kramer for that kind introduction. I appreciate his work and I appreciate your work as well. He hit it perfectly. It's about the vet, and I thank him for that. I'd also like to thank President Trump for his nomination and for his willingness to have not only confidence in me, but also the veterans of this country. I'm privileged today, and I appreciate the chairman and ranking member mentioning my family, because I would not be here without them. My wife of 36 years is with me, Lisa. She's right here. I have my son Copeland and his wife Holly. I have my son Cameron, his fiance Maddie. And then on the end, we have the one that glues us all together, and that is Jordan. She is our daughter. But there's also one that probably is watching right now that I'd be remiss if I didn't
I'll have to take a look.
It's my 86-year-old
That's
father,
it right there.
who spent 31 years as a Georgia State Trooper. Dad, I'm here because of you and Mom, and I love you. You know, America is the greatest nation on earth, and it's the greatest nation on earth, I believe, because of the men and women who serve. It's the men and women who serve and are willing to take the step up to protect the freedoms that we hold so dear. And throughout my 2 decades of service, I've witnessed this firsthand. I've watched men and women go at their best, even when they didn't want to, and they served. And they stood up for our freedoms. And they earned the benefits of being in our great veteran system. And the VA is there for them. In addition to being a Navy veteran for a while, I've now been in the United States Air Force for over 23 years. I'm a colonel serving at the Warner Robins Air Force Base at Africa Command. And I've been able to watch over the years leadership. Leadership is about listening, but it's also about leading. It's also about taking the men and women that you serve with and making sure that you're putting their needs first. When you're in the military, it's about the mission. For me, if I'm confirmed by this body, the VA will be my mission. It will be the mission to take care of our veterans and to make sure they get the benefits that they deserve. I'm an Iraq War veteran. I understand burn pits because I slept next to one for many months. I understand this generation that went for time and time and again, deployment after deployment, in a different way than we'd seen many times before in our past wars, and the needs that they have. But also being a veteran, I think I also bring something that is unique to this position almost since it became a cabinet position. I'll be the first member of this Hill, House or Senate, to serve if confirmed by this body, which I think brings a different perspective to my service here. Because over the years, we've all had our differences in this body. And ranking member, I appreciate you mentioning, yes, we have differences, but we can agree. Because I have worked across this aisle to pass major legislation. Thanks to President Trump and this body, we passed the First Step Act, giving real criminal justice reform with my partner, Hakeem Jeffries, in the House. Music Modernization Act, which Senator Kramer mentioned. Defend Trade Secrets Act with Chris Coons and many others. These are the kind of things that make big differences when you cross and you give good ideas. For me, it is about having respect for the members. It's about having respect for this committee. And that is what I believe this committee is one of the most bipartisan here. I have earned and worked bipartisanly to make things happen in this country. Because you know, also, I believe that we also have a lot we're in common with on both sides of this committee's dais. I believe we also believe that there is timely access and care for our veterans, for every eligible person. I believe that we're actually supposed to reach out, and the Mission Act provides that template that we passed here, that I was a part of passing. The VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act, which passed, by the way, this body unanimously, that holds our veterans, workers, and the workers who touch our veterans to the highest standards possible. I will tell you right now, the veterans of VA will not have a stronger fighter for the employees in the workforce than this secretary, if confirmed, and also one that will make sure that we're held accountable, because good work begots good work, and others need to be held accountable. We will do that to make sure that we get the best for our veterans. The PAC Act, which was mentioned by the ranking member, something that I think we're still developing and making sure everybody gets the treatment. Just passed the Elizabeth Dole Act, something we're going to have to look at next. I'm looking forward to. But as we look at this, I do bring one thing. It's going to require your help. It's going to require our mission. I bring to you today two things that will be at the forefront of my service. These are my dog tags. They're a reminder, just like every other veteran who served, that we're part of a bigger unit. And I also bring this bracelet. It was made for me by a young airman. She was keeping watch each night, and I'd go by and see her, and we'd talk. I was a flight line chaplain at Balad. And she had said one night, she said, "I've got something for you." And she ran back into her guard chat, and she came out with this. She said, "You're always bringing us something and listening." She said, "I want to give you something." Well, what she didn't know is now, about 15 years later, if confirmed by this body, this bracelet will be sitting in the Secretary of the VA's office, reminding me every day of the men and women that we serve. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Okay.
Congressman Collins, thank you for your testimony. We'll have a round of questions. I'll start and then ask a couple of questions and then yield to the ranking member.
Dr. Speedy.
It would be unexpected if I didn't open my questioning of you in regard to the Mission Act. I was involved in the creation of the Choice Act. We then attempted to improve it, make it more certain with the Mission Act. And my views are highly framed by my days as a member of the House of Representatives, in which I represented a congressional district the size of the state of Illinois with no VA hospital. So I care about rural and the distance that those rural veterans face. So I want to ask, if confirmed, will you make certain that the letter and spirit of the Mission Act is followed by every employee in every VA facility, and that the veterans are aware of their rights to advocate for themselves and to receive care when they need it, where they want it?
Mr. Chairman, as we had I've been a few years off, I forget to push my button, but we got it. As we spoke in your office, there's no greater asset, and really you've hit at the very issue of why the VA exists. The VA does not exist in and of itself. It exists for the veteran. It exists, and that is why over the past 10 to 15 years in this body, the Mission Act was passed, and the intent of that was to make sure that in the delivery of services to the veteran is first and foremost. And look, you have veteran services that are being delivered in our VA system as it has existed. We also, as you mentioned, Mr. Ranking, there are VA benefits that are doing through our caregiver and our community care program. At the end of the day, the veteran is getting taken care of. VA care is going to happen. VA care will be there. There'll always be the VA healthcare system for the veteran. But the way that we express that is just like we do in this body. There's different expressions of how we make it better. We don't do the same things 40 years ago that we still do today if we're still wanting to stay current with what's going on. And our newer veterans deserve every access to finding care where they can. Or in your case, if they have a long way to go, they need to find the care if they want to, but always have the VA as a backup. For me, the intent of the Mission Act at the end of the day was about how do we make veteran care available to the veteran who needs it and not have the battles over how they get it because they want to be able to have that choice. We're going to continue to do that and following the intent of the Congress in which I passed. That was my intent as well.
And Representative,
You a whole lie, because you sat at the last hearing saying that they can't just say that they want community care and it happened. But you started off this is how he bought veterans. He bought them in the way that if you want whatever you want, we're going to give you what you want, and this is what is going to happen. Now, when you ask for community care, you got to go through an act of Congress just to get a referral. And then when you get a referral, you can't see a doctor for another 2 years. We already getting started on the.
is that a commitment to in an answer to what I asked you?
Yes, it is. We're going to be following the Mission Act. We're going to have the intent. We're going to follow that up. And it's going to be day one understanding that that's why we're there and that nothing's going to hold that up.
And let me highlight that while I mentioned geography and distance, there's lots of other concerns in veterans accessing care.
Yes.
And I would highlight the importance that the Mission Act can play with high-risk mental health and addiction issues. We do not have enough care in the VA or outside the VA, and we need to make certain that wherever that care comes from, it's available when it's needed. True?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think that is a key. And you're seeing this all across, and you just hit on something very close to my heart, and that is especially the mental health aspect of this. As you can see, and Jordan and I have talked about this a lot, Jordan has a physical disability. She can't walk. And people would look at Jordan and they would have immediate sympathy. But if someone was to come in and say, I'm having trouble thinking clearly or my brain's not working right, we tend to repulse. I want a condition in which the VA and our community.
No dig to Jordan, but Jordan's not a veteran. We're here to talk about veterans. Jordan, no dig to you. I respect your disability. And if you have a disability, totally respect it. But we're not here to talk about Jordan, because her disability in a wheelchair is different to the disabilities that veterans face. Yes, we have veterans in a wheelchair as well. But what we are talking about here is something totally different off of your daughter. So
caregivers are drawing near, because suicide prevention is one of our biggest issues. And we've got to be able to draw the best and brightest. This is an issue health-wide, not just in the VA, but also in our communities as well. So I want to make sure we're getting the opportunity. So as you just said, Mr. Chairman, that member who needs it can find it and find it quickly and efficiently.
Let me talk about, for a moment, transition to civilian life.
Thank you, Craig.
One of the most dangerous circumstances in the well-being of a member of our military who is soon to become a veteran occurs at that point in transition. It is a time in which there is a sense of loss of belonging, of camaraderie, of mission, of purpose. It is a time in which suicide ideation is more prevalent. And we have a requirement that the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Department of Defense cooperate in a program to properly assist military men and women as they depart active duty. I want to hear how much you value this process and, in fact, how much you value the requirements, because the Department of Defense and the Department of Veterans Affairs have failed to appropriately and adequately implement that caregiving time and to provide the necessary transition support. It is hugely important. It certainly is important to the life of that service member. It's also important to our recruitment and retention of future members of the military. Comments?
Mr. Chairman, you've hit it perfectly. I mean, this is not just a taking care of our military, our veteran coming out from DOD and then transitioning to a VA care as they choose, but it's also, if you go back even further, to me, this is a recruiting issue. This is part of the whole life cycle of a veteran. And if you have good experiences in the DOD, they have bad experiences for some reason if they had a VA, or vice versa, you're having people who serve then telling their children and others, I don't want you to serve. This to me is an all-encompassing issue that we've got to work on. And as someone, especially as you talked about earlier, transitioning becomes that time in which for some, they don't have that grounding anymore. They need that connection. And we've not done a good job of connecting the dots. One of the things that should disturb all of us in this room today is the 17 number that is often used to 17 veterans who die by suicide. And when we understand that, here's what we have found, that over 40% of them had never connected with the VA. So, Mr. Chairman, you have my complete assurances that not only are we going to be a priority, it is going to be an extra priority for me, because I believe we can use all assets, not just DOD and VA, but state veterans associations as well. I'm willing to look at any way we can make the connection to make those transitions as easy as possible.
Mr. Collins, thank you. I now recognize Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that you are exceedingly generous in allotting time for us to ask questions, but I'm going to try to stay within the 5-minute.
Were you suggesting that I did not?
I would never suggest anything of the sort.
Before I go on with Blumenthal, because he just talked too slow. If you go to that, who was the one that told me about the unscripted podcast? If you go listen to that podcast where he talks to those men about how he became the secretary, he said that the man with the dead hand called him one night on the phone, asked him if he wanted the job, told him that he would best fit the job, and gave him the job. That's exactly his words. If you go listen to the unscripted podcast, he said that he called him up on the phone late one night, told him he thought he would do a good job, blah, blah, blah. They talked for a little bit and he accepted, and that was it. And he said he knew the man with the dead hand for a long time. They've been friends. So they was already in cahoots together for him to get the job. He said it out of his mouth. Y'all go listen. Anyway.
I hope we'll have a second round of questions, though.
I anticipate that.
Thank you. Let me start with some easy questions, Congressman Collins. Will you commit to respond promptly to any inquiry from members of this committee to request information and be fully transparent with this committee?
That is my intention. I will do for this committee, make sure you have every information that you need, Chair. Mr. Ranking Member.
And will you commit to working with the veteran service organizations and other stakeholders in making decisions at the VA?
I look forward to working with this committee and the members of both the House and Senate and any other organizations out there willing to help us help our veterans.
And including the Office of Inspector General, the Government Accountability Office, and the Office of Special Counsel.
I think you've laid out the very essence of accountability, not only from this body, but others that actually give us insight into what we're doing and how we're doing it. So yes, I look forward to those and making sure that we look at those recommendations. We work on them where we can.
Thank you. Last week at a hearing of the Homeland Security Committee, I gave Russell Vogt, the nominee for OMB director, the opportunity to renounce a proposal that he made, and it's included in Project 2025, to impose a means test for VA disability compensation benefits. I also asked him about his proposal to claw back benefits from service-disabled veterans. He has advocated that anybody with less than a 30% disability receive no benefits. He refused to renounce either proposal. I need from you a commitment that you will oppose any such efforts by the administration.
Well, Senator Blumenthal, I've made a habit up here being here. I'll never answer for someone else. And the question was asked of him. I will say this. I've not been a part of Project 25, haven't even read it. My issue is I'm going to take care of the veterans. That means that we're not going to balance budgets on the back of veterans benefits. We're not going to do that. We're going to put the veteran first. And for me, that decision comes to the secretary.
You're right.
That's in our budgetary oversight. That's what I'll be coming to you for. As we talked about in your office, if there are issues that I need, I'm going to come with you with the issue of the solving. If there's issues that I say that you want to see, but the law doesn't allow it, then I'm going to say, here's where we change the law, because that's what we've done before. So my commitment is to the veteran and making sure that we have our budget and sufficiently fund it so that our veterans receive their benefits.
I'm going to.
So why is it that every time we have a committee hearing that they say that they wrote you a letter, it goes 3, 6, 9, 12 months, and you have yet to respond, but you told them, you just sat here and told them that I'm going to come to you and you guys can send stuff to me and I'm going to respond. But every committee hearing that we have had, they have said that you and your office have yet to reply to any request that they have sent to you.
Interpret that as a yes.
Mr. Ranking Member, you interpret it.
In his first term, President Trump attempted to go down this road by trying to eliminate individual unemployability benefits for retirement age veterans. In my view, a very ill-conceived proposal that was later retracted, and I hope that you will oppose any such proposal during this administration.
Mr. Ranking Member, I'm not familiar with that discussion. What I am familiar with is what President Trump did advocate during his 4 years, and that was the Mission Act, the Accountability Act, the things that put veterans first. In fact, his words were, I want to take care of the veterans. So as we look forward to this, I look forward to carrying out his vision of taking care of our veterans, putting them first, making sure the VA is in a situation where it is actually doing that and having the resources it needs, but also having the efficiencies it needs to make it better. So I look back to what he's already done, and I know that was putting the veteran first, and I will be doing the same.
Thank you. As you know, for far too long, across administrations of both parties, frankly, the VA major and minor construction projects for hospitals, nursing homes, and other critical infrastructure priorities. These are the nuts and bolts, the facilities depended upon by our veterans for care, have been dramatically underfunded. For years, I had to fight for funding to modernize the VA facility in West Haven. Finally, it's underway. There are thousands of other projects. I would bet in every one of my colleagues' districts that need that kind of funding. It's a bipartisan issue that's good for veterans and good for local economies in red states and blue states. And the longer we wait, the more expensive construction becomes. If confirmed, will you commit to me that you will work with us to make those kinds of investments a priority?
Mr. Ranking Member, I think what you just hit is bigger than buildings. It's about the future of the VA. It's about how we actually take care of our veterans. So when you frame the question as is funding these projects, I look at it as am I funding a project that helps a veteran? And that's going to be in every district, as you just said. So yes, I'm looking forward to using the limited dollars that are going to be coming from the Congress and how we spend those to make sure that we're prioritizing those needs in areas such as you mentioned. You're talking about your home state as well. But these are areas that I'm wanting to look forward to make sure that our construction projects not only are done efficiently and on time, and also have the proper oversight, that we don't see them drag on for years. I've heard too many times in many of your offices, and I met with almost 60 plus senators on both parties, this has been an issue that comes up consistently, that we have to be better stewards of our building projects, so that at the end of the day, it's the veteran who gets served.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I almost gavelled you at the time, 43 seconds ago, just to make sure you know the order of things.
I knew that was coming.
Yes, sir. Senator Sheehy is going to be recognized next. One of our colleagues was kind enough to allow him to go instead because he presides at the Senate at 11 o'clock. Senator Sheehy, welcome to this committee. Well, thank you for your service to the country, and you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Congressman, thank you for being here. Thanks for bringing your family. It's great to see them all here. As we know, the military is a family business. When we leave for months or years on end, it's them that carries the weight. You know, I come from a very large state, not a whole lot of people, and a lot of our veterans have to travel many, many hours to get to VA care. And to that end, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on how we are going to actually expand access to community care. Because as Senator Blumenthal and others discussed, it's been press released, it's been talked about, but I think we know from experience, it's actually been very, very hard for our veterans to effectively mesh their veterans healthcare benefits with being able to seamlessly go to the community and get their care. If you're from Plentywood, Montana, it can be a 5.5-hour drive to a VA care facility. So I want to make sure that we actually take action to ensure that veterans can go into the community and get care they need so they don't have to drive many, many hours away.
Senator, thank you and welcome to the Senate. It's good to see you this morning. I may be from North Georgia, but issues of ruralness is not new to my district. I have the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. In fact, I start and Senator King's, it ends. So the Appalachian Trail. So I get the fact that sometimes the distance may be deceiving, even if it's shorter distance, how to get there. And that could be a problem for veterans, especially older veterans. I remember a time in which I had a 90-year-old veteran they were asking him to drive 90 miles to get corrective lenses, and he was having trouble seeing. Not the best position we need to be in. The intent, and I was here for the Mission Act. In fact, I'm going to go a step beyond. Senator Johnny Isaacson was a dear friend of mine, and we got first involved in this. He was a mentor of the Choice Act, which became the Mission Act as we're moving forward, because we saw these very issues that you speak of. For me, it's about making sure that we publicize what is out there. I know that's been a concern for many on both sides of the aisle, is making sure veterans understand the benefits that they have. You and I both know in rural areas, sometimes it's hard to get there. I'm committed to making sure we're using every avenue we can to make sure the benefits that they know about. If they want to use them, great, they'll be there for them, but some do not know. So for you and other states and rural states and even urban settings, we've got to make sure that the access is there. In saying that, it also needs to make sure that the VA itself is not standing in the way, that where there is conditions met, where the precondition met, and they are eligible for community care, it's not the VA that's standing in the way to getting them that health care they need. And that could come through call centers, doctor visits, pre-clearance, and everything else. So we're going to be working with that.
Great. And then as a wounded vet who transitioned out, my wife was also active duty. We served together at the same time. The hardest part about VA care, I've found, and most of my peers from the GWAT generation, I think, agree, is the handoff from active duty healthcare. The handoff to the VA, unfortunately, I was fortunate enough. I had a fantastic handoff. Disabled American veterans helped with my transition, but very, very few veterans end up in that spot. How can you, as the VA secretary, ensure that we have a smoother and seamless handoff from active duty members, so when they enter the VA, medical records are ported over, care is ported over, and it happens seamlessly for the veteran?
Senator, as we just discussed, I was previously discussing this in that transition with the chairman and all. It's a very, it's the most important for the family itself. I think you understand that with your transition, your wife's transition, because at that point there's that unsettledness. Where do we go? How do we get care if we need care, especially if there's a pre-existing or something that's been treated in DOD? How do we get by? There are several things that we need to make sure that our touches are much better. There's been some programs to make sure that we touch the VA touches on occasions, making sure they get the transition care. If that's not happening, we need to do it better. But there is an issue that we've not discussed yet. I'm sure it's going to come up many more times, and that's the medical health records issue of the VA. That is a program now that has went too many years and cost too many billions of dollars without finding a solution. And my commitment is one of the very first priorities of this, if confirmed, is to get in and figure out why and put this on a bigger time frame to get this medical health records issue solved. I've said this, I'll say this now, and I'll probably say it again. The VA is special, but it's not unique. And hear me when I say that. It's special in who we keep and who we trust and who we take care of, and that is our veteran. But it's not unique in the sense that we do healthcare. Healthcare is done in this country every day outside the VA, as well as the largest system, which is the VA. We've got to get our health records straight so that we can have an easy handoff. What should be a simple click of the button is many times taken. I've had in my office when I was in Congress up to almost a year to get those records transferred. That leaves uncertainty for the veteran, that leaves uncertainty for the family, and makes a very unhealthy experience for those that are serving.
Well, thank you, Congressman. Thanks for your service to the country in the war. Thanks for your family service, and thanks for stepping.
Doug Collins had not answered one question in its entirety since this hearing has been played. Have you heard me? Do you guys hear me? He has not answered one question directly and honestly. And these people at the table who don't even know what he's talking about is just gliding around the table, and he ain't answered one direct question. He has just pussyfoot around all the way around and not answered any question directly. When he asked him to give him a yes, he said, "You know the answer." He has not answered a direct question. He hasn't answered a direct question. But I want to speed this up to get to because this is 2 hours, but I want to get to Miss Murray, because Miss Murray is the one that's going to read him his rights.
Occasions, making sure they get the transition care. If that's not happening, an issue that we've not discussed yet. I'm sure it's going to come up many more times, and that's the medical health records issue of the VA.
Yeah.
That is a program now that has went too many years and cost too many billions of dollars without finding a solution. And my commitment is one of the very first priorities of this, if confirmed, is to get in and figure out why and put this on a bigger time frame to get this medical health records issue solved. I've said this, I'll say this now, and I'll probably say it again. The VA is special, but it's not unique. And hear me when I say that. It's special in who we keep and who we trust and who we take care of, and that is our veteran. But it's not unique in the sense that we do healthcare. Healthcare is done in this country every day outside the VA, as well as the largest system, which is the VA.
We got to move forward a little bit because we
need a call.
Mr. Sullivan, we didn't want to give you no type of day, no type of nothing, because you wasn't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing at all. I wanted to speed this up a little bit for y'all.
But making
because I want to get to some place where we know that
does excellent work caring for senior veterans in Arkansas, but needs upgrades to continue providing the standards of care expected. In fiscal year 24, this 96-bed facility was ranked number 12 on the Veteran State Home Construction Grant Program priority list after being ranked number 9 in fiscal year 23. Unfortunately, the facility will not receive the necessary funding in fiscal year 24.
That's what I wanted to.
We worked with the current administration to get the necessary upgrades the Rogers facility needs. Do I have your commitment that the VA, under your leadership, will continue working with us on the issue?
Senator, thank you. And I think this is important. This came up with several of us, and you and I have discussed it. We're going to work with you and the appropriators and also this committee to make sure that the priorities as expressed will be taken care of, and we'll work with you to do those as we go forward. Because at the end of the day, especially what you just brought up is one of the more critical we have, and that's sort of that end of life kind of issues that we deal with, and those later stages issues when more care is needed. So for me, making sure that you have that the states across this country and the VA is providing that care is something that is, frankly, a non-negotiable. As a pastor, it's been mentioned many times about me being a chaplain, but I was a pastor for 11 years as well, and had spent many times in those long-term care facilities, and it was humbling and also, though, very critical to understanding. So yes, we're going to work to see what we can to make sure that every need is met. We'll not always be able to say, here's the best answer you're going to hear, but I'll definitely work with you.
Very good. Thank you. I'm very proud of the committee's work to pass the PACT Act, which now provides long overdue care for veterans dealing with the effects of toxic exposure. While the VA's efforts to reach veterans impacted by the legislation and get them support has been great, I remain concerned about the VA's management of the Toxic Exposure Fund and overall budget outlook. How will you make sure the VA's Toxic Exposure Fund remains viable for years to come while providing the levels of care our veterans have earned?
Thank you, Senator. The care there is the biggest issue in coming out of the PACT Act in the work we've had. And it's been several 100,000 new people brought into the system, and that even more coming. I think the biggest thing we've got to do is actuarially look at what is passed here. And I promise, and I think you and I spoke about this in your office, is are we at the VA making sure that we're getting good information and doing what the intent of the law was so that they can continue to get those benefits? And that comes from the resources that come from us from this body. So I'm going to be actually looking at it, and I will come to you with real world examples. One of the things, as I made the comment earlier about our legislative affairs and making sure that we're more on the hill, so to speak, with that was another commitment that I have, because I sat where you have sat and had questions of administrations in the past, is that you get good information. And you have a commitment from me that when you get information about how we're funding and how we're appropriating that whoever sits at this table, myself and any other person that comes from the VA, will give you good information. And they'll give you good numbers, so that we're not like we were last fall when it starts off at a number of billions, then goes down to another billions, and then was not even used, as Senator Kramer talked about in the opening. So we're going to be doing that in addition to making sure that we're getting good, accurate numbers so that we can inflect the intent of these acts. The Elizabeth Dole Act that was just mentioned just a few minutes ago is going to be one that I want to make sure that we do properly. We set it in under the Trump administration when the Blue Water Navy and others and Mission Act was actually put into play. There were times set in so that it could be done properly. Sometimes the great ideas are at the wrong time or not the best way. You got to make sure that you have the great idea done properly, and that's what we're going to do.
Very good. Just say again, you served, you were a great member in the House. You understand how important it is that when we need, information, when we need to talk to you or somebody of importance, it's so frustrating. You have a hearing and you've sent letters and, the last 3 letters hadn't been answered. Just say again, very briefly, because my time is up, but I think it's one of the most important things that we can talk about today is how important it is to, again, be such that you are in constant tune with the members.
Senator, thank you for highlighting what I believe is going to be one of the biggest differences, and if confirmed by this body at the VA in the early stages, and that is going to be the involvement of our legislative affairs on this Hill. I am committed to having 535, if you would, canaries in a coal mine, 100 senators and 435 representatives who actually can help us and work together to see where there's problems, to see where there's issues. Like I said, not just in policy, not just in funding recognition, but also in the actual veteran constituency. When I hear from you, and as Chairman Moran and I talked, and he mentioned earlier, when we hear from the veterans, that's what we hear in Home Depot. That's what we hear in Kroger. When we're walking around, thanks for helping us. I want to know where the problems are, because I'm not a secretary of confirmed that will sit behind a desk. I will be out and I'll be there making sure we get it fixed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, wait, I got to
Thank you,
pause.
Senator Bozeman. Senator Gagnon.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Councilman Collins.
Hold on, I got to pause. And I got to take us back. I got to take us back for a little bit. I have to take us back because I missed something that it's certain parts that I want us to hear, because when he talk about answering the questions, he's supposed to be answering the questions. He don't respond to anything that the VA says or asks. So it's certain points that I wanted to hit on when it comes to him. Remember, he said, "Oh, you can call me, you can send me an email." That's what he just said, right? But in the last hearing, guess what? He doesn't answer any questions that they sent to him. None at all. All this makes, I'm sorry, MCM. I'm guessing nobody at that church that Dougie attend has any issues with their VA claims or access to community health. I'll drink that Mr. Bossman cheers. A complete lip service. I have reservations from someone making promises about a system they don't understand. That I've been saying that from day one. I've been saying that from day one. But you know, the man with the dead hand called him up.
Chairman, Congressman, very good to see you here. Thank you for meeting with me in my office. I appreciated that discussion, and I'm going to start with the question in reference to what you just talked about, because back in 2018, under President Trump's first administration, the VA and Cerner, which is now Oracle Cerner, signed a no-bid contract to roll out the Cerner electronic health record to all VA facilities. And the first site went live in my home state in 2020, and it was disastrous. VA and Oracle endangered patients by rushing the deployment, not making sure the system was technically sound, not working with the clinicians on the ground, and not providing sufficient training. And veterans and providers in my home state are still paying the price for that. Last month, VA announced that it would be moving forward with pre-deployment activities at the next 4 sites for the electronic health record. You said, you referenced it here, that you plan to make EHR a priority. I want to know what specifically that means. Are you going to prioritize it by rushing the implementation, or are you going to prioritize it by getting this system right and focusing on veteran safety and clinical productivity as you move forward?
Thank you, Senator. I did enjoy our time together in your office. Where there's the old saying that there's never a more perilous issue than to be on the tip of a new idea. And I think it goes back a long ways. And that's very true what happens here. When I say that we're going to make this a priority, it means that we're going to see, for me, it's going to be taking it as a full, all right, I'm taking the first step and I'm going to look at it from fresh eyes. I've not been there for what even this committee would have to say has been too long and cost too much money. We're going to talk about the vendor from Oracle. We're going to make sure that we're finding out what their issue is. We're going to listen to our clinicians. We're going to listen to our hospitals. And as I said just a few minutes ago, we're special in who we care for, but we're not unique. There's no reason in the world we cannot get this done. And I think that's the concern that I have, because this body, and you in particular, have done such a great job with the appropriations process of making sure that we're funding a system that we're now sitting here 6 to 8 years away and nothing's happened. And that causes, just as the senator was talking about, not only the transition, but it affects the patients internally. We've got to get better health records so that we can not only have the issue with our one-on-one doctor interaction, we can move faster, they can see the information ahead, and it's safer for the patient. So for me, as soon as possible, in the very early stages, if confirmed, I'm going to gather together members of my staff that will be specifically tasked to, as soon as possible, within the first days of this administration, to see what is the issue, why is it waiting, and why did the previous administration who just left say that they may try to start it back in 26? I'm not sure why a year would take here. I believe that we can do it and do it properly, not rushed. There's enough information there that I believe we can actually get it done quicker, but it's going to take looking at.
So the first step would be to bring Oracle Cerner in along with your staff. Please make sure that you talk with those people on the ground that have been dealing with this to understand what has gone wrong, why it's been such a problem, as you take on those next steps. And I would also ask that you please stay in touch with me. This has been, this committee knows, my top priority, and I have just been so frustrated with it. So I want to stay in touch with you.
Senator,
I'm just pausing to share this right here that we discussed a few weeks ago when it came to Oracle and how much money they have been awarded, what they have done. This right here is the contract summary with Oracle. Okay, Oracle failed to come through back in the day. Then they got another opportunity. Okay, so now Oracle is back in session. Okay, now that the man with the dead hand is back in session, and Oracle now has to prove themselves in the next year in order for them to get the contract extended. So every year, their contract is going to go yearly instead of the 10 years that they had agreed. Look at how much money, okay? Look at the manyan that Oracle has made. And it did a ding dong thing that John can read about right now. Okay? Look at this. Look at this. The Oracle is getting their coinage. They're getting paid. Okay? So all this jibber jabber that he was talking about when it came to Oracle, he done already jumped right in. You remember, guys, he already got the EHRM stuff going at 6 different locations. And he is pushing it. He's pushing it so that it can be at all VA locations. And we went over that as well. This is why I want to bring this to remembrance to you guys. Do you see how it's coming together now? Do you see how it's coming together? Anyway, we'll go back over here and listen.
You would be amazed at how many conversations I've had, and we've had as well with this. We can't overemphasize enough of why it needs to get done. But being on the Hill in positions like you're, it's also an understanding that this has become too normal for projects that come out of the Hill. Too normal that we appropriate billions of dollars and yet see no results in 6 to 8 years. I think President Trump and the administration, when he started this, had the right idea, and we're going to continue that. So we're going to have to work together. At this point, the finger pointing's done. It's time to get it done for one reason and one reason only. As I said earlier, the mission is the vet. It's the veteran who has earned the benefit. And if we're not giving the right tools for that, then the doctor, the clinician, the nurses are not able to mesh. And I will not accept we can't do it. I will not accept I don't know. I will not accept we don't have enough money. We don't have enough. You've had 8 years and billions of dollars. So I'm with you on this. We will definitely work together.
Okay, thank you. And quickly, in my last 30 seconds, I'll reference something that Senator Blumenthal mentioned in his opening remarks, and that is I care deeply about our women veterans and that they have the services they need. So I want to just ask you, do you believe a veteran who lives in Texas who has been raped and becomes pregnant should be able to get abortion care at her local VA?
Don't piss me off.
Senator, that is an issue that is very sensitive in this body. It is something that has been looked at. Here's what the law actually says, and the original law from 1992 says the VA does not do abortions. 2 years ago, that was a decision that was looked at and decided. I will tell you this, we will be looking at that issue when I get in there to confirm that the VA is actually following the law.
So do you plan to modify that law then?
I will repeat just what I just said. When we get in, we're going to look and make sure that the law is being followed from the 1992 law where it said they couldn't and the revision that just happened.
Okay, well, I want you to know that I'll be following this very closely. I want to make sure that women veterans get the health care they need.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
So don't get me started on this because I don't want to go down the women veteran abortion hole, but just know that if you're a woman veteran and you've been SA'd and you go to the VA and you need an abortion, they're not going to do it. They're not. So don't bother to go. Okay, you heard him. He don't even care. And his wife is sitting right behind him. Okay, and you know why these people don't care? Because they don't have to be on CHAMP VA like veteran spouses do. They have their own insurance over there at the West Wing, the left wing, and the turkey wing. Okay, so they don't care. Because if you have some type of ectopic pregnancy or something like that, and you have an emergency, you cannot expect the VA to pay for it. They do not pay for no type of abortions. They don't. But I'm not going to get into that because y'all know when it comes to women veterans, I don't play. I don't play. But anyway, let's go. All right.
Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I want to fast forward a little bit to, what's that man named? Tuberville? Is that his name? Was that his name? Tuberville? I think that was his name. I got to find the, oh yeah, here you go, right here. Hour and 34. So it just irritates me the way how he talks about he want to advocate so much for women veterans, but you play in our freaking face every single time. Like you don't got a daughter. So if somebody did something to your daughter, it just sends me, y'all. It just sends me.
At the bottom line for me, this chaplain's heart, this secretary's heart is always going to be about helping the veteran get the help that they need in all areas of their life. And if we don't do that, then we're making a mistake. We're missing the mark. And you and I have seen that, unfortunately, up firsthand. As someone who's actually counseled with those who thought about taking their life, those who are serious issues, we've got to have every help we can have.
Okay. Thank you. Go back.
Ask me what
Thank you and welcome to the committee. Senator Tuberville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Congressman, for wanting to take this on. You and your family, largest healthcare system in the world. If that's not eye-opening, I don't know what is. We've had a lot of people tackle this job, and it is a hard job, and it's very, very important. I grew up in a military family, been to many, many VAs, and we have some good ones in Alabama, but it's amazing to me that, you know, that we look at this, and it's, again, second largest budget that we have here in Congress, second largest behind the DOD. But it's really not about money. You know, I think about and look at all this in a different perspective sometimes. It's about people running what you have. And we're run by unions. And there's obviously some good and some bad.
Listen, y'all, listen.
But we got to find the problem, because we got to, more and more of our veterans are adding up. We have almost 500,000 just in the state of Alabama alone. And it's a big problem that we can't take care of all of them. Now, when I first got here and got on this committee 4 years ago, one of the first things that we did, President Trump had eliminated 4,000 people. He didn't care what they were in. If they didn't do their job, they got fired. He took 4,000 of them and sent them out the door. Well, the Biden administration come in, the first thing they did is they rehired them.
Gotcha.
And back pay, and put them in a situation where a lot of them had really breached protocol. Now, I come from a previous profession. If you didn't do right, you were gone. Will you commit to doing what's right for the veteran when it comes to the personnel that are handling these people? We can talk about acts and laws and bills and all this. It ain't gonna make a damn bit of good unless we get the people that's running these VAs and these homes that take care of our veterans. We don't get the best. Will you commit to that?
Senator, thank you for that. I mean, your last day was not just your profession, but I think every other profession in the world expects accountability. And I think that's what raises the standard. So yes, we're going to have accountability. The VA Accountability and Whistleblower Act, which by the way, passed unanimously out of the Senate, its intent was to make sure that those workers who were not fulfilling their mission, they were not going to take a job anymore. I intend to make sure that this is a promise that I have, is that if there is someone who is harming or in the way of our veteran and taking a veteran's benefit away, I have no problem in getting rid of that person and making sure we do it properly. And I have no problem with the legal repercussions of that, because there's no one at the VA going to stand in the way of a veteran getting the care properly. And if they're not doing it safely, which we saw many of those were not doing it safely and putting our veterans in harm's way. But I will say it again, and I think you would agree with me. I will be the biggest cheerleader for every VA employee out there who is out there getting up every morning, doing it right, making sure we're taking care of our veterans. But I believe the only way I can make them better, the only way I can push them, is to not allow those not to do it. So we have to have that accountability. This body passed it unanimously. It is about raising standards. It's about saying that we're going to expect the best and we're going to require the best. Because if I want to retain doctors, if I want to retain nurses, if we want to retain benefits people, then you got to set a standard that says, I'm proud to be here. And for me, I want to lead an agency that works and puts our veterans first and holds accountable those that have not.
Awesome.
Then you turn around, and how many did he get rid of? How many did he get rid of? How many did he get rid of? The same people, okay, that he's up here. I want good nurses. I want good doctors. I want all of this. And you turn around and you got rid of how many?
In 2023, it was reported to us, some of our VAs, especially our community care systems, were funding
Yes.
illegal aliens.
Yes. I remember.
Healthcare. Would you please look into that once you take this office?
Yes, Senator, I will. I do not believe any money that's taken outside the mission of the VA to help the veteran is a worthy cause of the money that has been appropriated for the veteran, and we will not be doing that.
You know, we were given a budget shortfall just back last July. We were called and told by the administration that we're $3 billion short. And we had to come up very, very quickly, or we were going to default in the VA. You can imagine how frustrated we all got with that when we found out that we actually had a surplus. I would hope that we take better care of what we do with our money and we know where it's at. Also, one thing before I go off here, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this back when we met, electronic healthcare. Nobody's told you this, $20 billion on updating our VA's electronic healthcare records over the last decade. The Department of Defense completed their update, yet the VA has nothing to show for the $20 billion. Houston, we got a problem.
Houston, Atlanta, DC, everywhere else we have a problem. That is not acceptable. That's one of the things that we're going to, as we've said earlier, and we talked about this earlier, we're going to have to get into very quickly, put every player on the table to make sure that we're getting it right from the VA perspective and from the from Oracle perspective as it's currently held. DOD and VA are very different, but also, as I said before, we're special but not unique. What we can do can be done, and there's ways that we can look at that. And I think Senator King talked about ways that we can let. Let's do what we can do. We're going to get that right. Even up here, 8 years and that much money and no results, only 5 places, I believe, actually still is not acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on your new position. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you.
Former Mr. Chairman.
The job that you have been nominated for is an impossibly difficult job. I just want to say for the record that I think Dennis McDonough, the gentleman who came before you, has done a very good job in the context of what he had to deal with. Mr. Collins, in 2 independent assessments last year, the VA outperformed non-VA hospitals in terms of patient satisfaction and hospital quality. I can tell you that in Vermont, you talk to the average veteran who accesses VA, they say, you know what, the care is pretty good. I think that's probably true in most parts of the country. And that takes place within a healthcare system which is broken, a private healthcare system which is largely broken and dysfunctional. It strikes me, from what I have heard, there are 3 approaches to the VA. There are some folks, extremists, who think get rid of the VA completely, send veterans out into the private sector. Others, including the nominee for Defense Secretary, Mr. Hegseth, who have indicated that the VA should be there for specialized care. People with PTSD, people with amputations, particular problems the veterans have, specialized care. And there are those of us, including myself, who think that when people are asked to put their lives on the line to defend this country, you know what? All veterans are entitled to all of the health care that they need. That's my view. Where do you come out on that?
Senator, it's great to sit in the office and talk to you, especially your chairman, your perspective you have. We come out very similar. I've said before, and I said it to this committee early on, there'll always be a VA health system for the veteran. And like we talked about in your office, I think what we're going to do is make sure that the VA centers that are strong can get better. But also I have states that I've talked to and other senators who have maybe one facility that is doing well and another facility that's not. So we can't paint with a broad stroke, even on the private sector that you mentioned, to say that any one in particular is the rule for all. So I'm for getting that and making sure that we have it.
Okay, here's the problem. There is a limited amount of money. Community care spending went from $8 billion in 2014 to $31 billion in 2024. Ideally, what we could say is, hey, you're a veteran, you want to go into a private care? No problem. You want to go to the VA? No problem. We have a strong VA, strong private care. We don't have enough money to do that. So in fact, what the debate comes down to is not whether somebody should be able to access community care, but where are we going to put our resources? Are we going to allow the VA to wither on the vine, so to speak? Do you understand where I'm coming from? How do you are you willing to tell us that you're going to fight for a strong VA in every state in this country?
We're going to, Senator, that's a non-negotiable. We're going to fight for a strong VA. Now, I understand your perspective. You didn't vote for the Mission Act, which is where community care started. I understand your perspective, but I also understand the will of the body and the law, and I understand veterans today. I believe you can have both. I believe you have a strong VA as it currently exists and have the community care aspect.
Okay. Vermont issue. You're inheriting an incredible bureaucracy that is very slow moving at times. There are 2 CBOCs in the Vermont area, one in Chittenden County, our most populated area, one in the southern part of the state, probably be located in the New Hampshire area, all right? Keene, New Hampshire. Access to both Vermont and New Hampshire veterans. It has been moving along rather slowly. Will you assure me that you're going to take a hard look to make sure that those CBOCs get moving rapidly?
Yes, Senator, as we were talking about with Senator Bozeman as well, those are issues that we got to look at and make sure the priorities, the money's there. We're going to look sure.
But it's not just the VSA. It's not just the VA. The VA works with the GSA.
I understand.
And it is a problem. Okay, take a hard look at that one. There are massive staff shortages in the VA, and I am concerned about the hiring freeze that President Trump has initiated. Will you stand up publicly and say, you know what? We need every VA health facility in this country to be adequately staffed. We will not accept staff shortages, and make sure that we have the people that we need.
I will advocate to make sure our veterans are taken care of, but I'll also support in the fact that we'll take a look at the current levels of employees that we have and where they're properly located, and we'll work at that, and the president will work under the executive order that he has given.
Look, in English, we all understand this. There are inefficiencies in the VA. There's waste in the VA, every government agency. On the other hand, the VA in general, in my view, does an excellent job. They need the support.
Yep.
So you want to go after waste and inefficiencies, do it. But make sure that we have the quality of doctors, nurses, staffing that we need to take care of every veteran in this country.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Collins, thank you for being here. You and I have a lot in common. We were both born in August, you 6 years after me. We both entered state legislature at the same time in 2007 in 2 different states. And you got a sister that was born in the same hospital that both of my babies were born in. Am I right?
Yeah.
You also have the benefit of me tracking, since I lived in Atlanta for about 4 years, tracking Georgia politics. You were a very good, solid, reasonable congressman. So I know all I need to know about supporting your nomination. I know you've said multiple times you're not going to privatize the VA. You're not forcing veterans out. You've done that. I think you were sworn in testimony. So would you just do a pinky swear too that you're not going to privatize the VA? Here we go.
We got
okay. Good. Air pinky swear. So the reason that's important is that some people, not everybody, I think that Senator Sanders is genuine and has concerns, but folks, there is let me just say again what I've said every time, privatization and forcing veterans out of the VA to seek private care. There is no serious discussion among lawmakers to do that. Now, is there one, and by serious discussion, I mean that could ever see the light of day? I have very few skills. One of them is counting votes. There is simply not enough to even consider it a threat. And the reason why I hit this head on is there are veterans who could be led to believe that that's a risk. It is not a risk. You don't have to come to Washington because a vote is imminent. The VA is one of the largest healthcare system in the United States. It does a lot of things good, and in many cases, it does it better than the private care providers could ever imagine because of the unique status it has, in many cases, veterans serving veterans. So again, thank you for that pinky swear. Now let's move on to the unpleasant part of my discussion. Has nothing to do with you. I have supported every VA nominee who's come before this committee. And I supported the Secretary of the VA when I came in the Obama administration. I've had a great working relationship up to and including with Secretary McDonough. I have concerns, even some that date back to VA Secretary Wilkie, who was my MLA before he went on to be a VA Secretary. The implementation of the electronic health record is a bipartisan, multi-administration disaster. There is no way on God's green earth that we should have spent $10 billion to have only a fraction of the VISNs even touched. So do I have your commitment to go through that program to quickly get it moving again and get an integrated health chart that also can integrate with the DoD so that we can finally have a seamless transition from active status or reserve status to veteran status and provide premium care at the VA?
Yes, Senator Ellis, for the very reason of this, is what you just said about seamless care is actually a safety and security issue for my veterans.
It absolutely it is. The electronic health record.
Every time he says my veterans, it does something to me. It does. Now, VISNs are out the door. They're out the door. How many are they? 5? Only 5 left. There were 18. It's 5 from 18 to 5. So you knew what you were going to do when you sat right here in front of Mr. Tillis. I don't even know who this man is. Anyway.
I've got a real problem. We need to have a review. I don't know if it's an inspector general's report or something else, but folks, I did large scale systems implementation work for the vast majority of my career. I've done that more than I've done being a U.S. senator or a state representative. This is a disaster. And I would like the people involved, not only the contractors, but having been the contractor before, my guess is it's rooted in bureaucracy and people responsible for the implementation within the VA not doing it right. So will you commit to me to doing a project review? I'll come to your turf to do it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the project review. This, for me, has been one of the, when first looking at it, how, only up here would this allow it to go on as long as it had. So
Okay.
look, I'm putting on notice today that I'm committed to everyone here. We're going to bring everyone to the table. That's vendor, that's VA, everybody in the middle,
Good.
and figure out what this problem is, because it's time to fix it.
Well, I'd love to be at the table when you have some of those discussions, to be honest with you, and lend you some free consulting advice. Last thing I want to leave you with, because I say it in most of the hearings, I did not vote for the PACT Act, in spite of the fact that my office was responsible for the formulation of the TEAM Act that was in that bill, which was to provide care to warriors who were exposed to toxics, and also the Camp Lejeune Toxics Act, which my colleague, Senator Sullivan, has been trying to work to reduce the compensation. I didn't vote for it because I was absolutely convinced it was going to be where it is today. It's a $700 billion between mandatory and discretionary spending, unfunded bill that got out of the oven too soon. And now we know you've got shortfalls that you're going to have to fix in the billions of dollars because we didn't take the time to actually get the PACT Act right. I hate it not being able to vote for that bill, but I voted against it because we promised out of this committee that we would fix it before it got a vote on the floor. Now we got to fix it, and you can count me as somebody that will be helpful.
Thanks, Senator. I look forward to that because that is going to be one of the first issues we got to tackle from the budgetary standpoint. But also, and I will, say to the committee, and we've talked about this in many of your offices, I'm also looking ahead to the Elizabeth Dole Act and actual implementation and implementation cost on it. I think it's something we've got to take care of, but it's got an implementation cost as well.
Thank you.
Senator Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations on your chairmanship. I look forward to working with you and Ranking Member Blumenthal. And Congressman Collins, it is good to see you. It was good to sit down with you the other day. Congratulations on your nomination. And thank you to you for your service to our nation and to your family as well for their sacrifices, because we know when an individual serves, the whole family serves, and I welcome them here today as well. One quick comment to follow up on what Senator Slotkin was asking you about. I appreciated your expression that you would be willing to let the president know or anybody else in the administration know if you thought the budget cuts would hurt service to veterans. And I will just say, having done this work at the state level, and now here, it is tempting for people in your position to tell their bosses, whatever budget you give me, we'll get the job done, because that's what you want to be able to do. But cutting direct care people in a healthcare system, cutting people who coordinate care so that veterans can get integrated care, can really, really harm veterans. So I will hold you to your statement that you will stand up for veterans in the budget discussions, because it's going to be real important.
And thank you, Senator, on that question, because it is true. I mean, as we've said, and brings the uniquenesses. I've been on that side. There's only limited dollars,
right?
And there's consequences. And there's a big thought up here on Capitol Hill that we vote on ideas. We don't vote on ideas. We vote on words on paper.
Right.
And those cost money. So yes, I'll stand up and look, the president has made it very clear to take care of veterans. And I will say, as we look for efficiencies, as we look for the things to run those agencies, I will say, here's the cost benefit of that, and we will move forward with that, making sure we take care of the veteran.
Well, I appreciate that. I want to move on now to a topic that I know Senator Sullivan also touched on. President-elect Trump supported a full-service VA hospital for New Hampshire when he was on the campaign trail. I've supported a full-service hospital in our state for years and will gladly work with you and the president to make that happen. In the meantime, though, the current Manchester VA Medical Center is almost 75 years old and it needs significant upgrades. The facility's age is showing. Twice over the past 8 years, pipes have burst, temporarily closing parts of the medical center. And when I say temporarily, we're talking months. Rescheduled surgeries, the whole 9 yards. It has been terrible. So following a push from the New Hampshire delegation to prioritize improvements to the medical center, the VA has begun implementing a multi-year upgrade plan. Will you commit to continuing these upgrades to make sure that Granite State veterans have the best possible medical facility to receive their care at? And will you come up to New Hampshire to visit the facility and meet our veterans?
I'll take the last one first. Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good.
But I will assure you, not only Granite State veterans, but all across the country, there will be taken care of and looking at our needs. The infrastructure needs, I'm glad we're talking about that today, because it's not just the new facility. It's not just the new CBOC. It's taking these older facilities that, as you said, once they're shut down, and then the bureaucratic process to get it fixed.
Right.
And so that is it. But also with President Trump's commitment, look, I'm going to support the president. We're going to look to that hospital. But I think you've brought up a bigger issue that I hope all of the committee members will understand is I wish we could, as I said before, have this rose-colored old pixie dust. It'll just fix itself. But construction issues are going to be one of our hardest because of age of facilities.
Right. Thank you. Let's talk about rural veterans. They face several.
He said construction issue was going to be due to the rural areas. In his committee hearing, he said the construction issues was because he did not want to work with, what's the people name? What's the engineering? What's the engineering company name that he did not like? What is it, y'all? Tell me who it is. Now, what he said compared to what he's saying. Who's the engineer? What was the engineering? I can't remember what it's called, but he's saying because the rural areas is where it's at. But then when he did the committee hearing, he did not want the engineer, the court, he didn't want to work with them. He didn't want to work with them because they're hard to work with. You know why? Because they abide by the rules. Yes, the Army Corps of Engineers. Yes, he did not want to work with them. So all of this talk that he was talking about, he didn't want to work with them. But what he said just now, because of the rural areas, that's not what it is. He don't want to work with the Army Corps of Engineers because they have structure and they put the limitations on his behind. So once he realized that that was what was going to happen, then he had to turn to something else. But when he agreed to her that he was going to do that, it never happened because he want to work with, he want to work with private contractors where he could have made money.
Several challenges in accessing VA healthcare. For example, they have to travel long distances to access their VA healthcare facilities, and that usually means that they're going to want to schedule multiple appointments on the same day, so they don't have to do all the travel back and forth. Unfortunately, some VA medical appointments can only be scheduled by calling the individual clinic directly, meaning veterans often have to make several calls to multiple disconnected offices just to try to coordinate and schedule their appointments. And then they schedule one, then they call back the other, find out the slot they thought they had is gone. So that's why Senator Bozeman and I introduced the bipartisan Improving Veteran Access to Care Act, which would require the VA to create a streamlined scheduling system where veterans can either call or go online to view and schedule appointments for all of their VA health care. Congressman Collins, will you support this effort and work with me and Senator Bozeman to pass this bill and implement its change to help our veterans?
Well, Senator, I look forward to seeing that and looking into it further, but I'm going to tell you from a conceptual standpoint, the better question for me is why haven't we almost got there anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, because the thing about, if I can, I mean, and I'm not to reduce, appointment times to an app, but when you can order 5 people's food and send it to 5 different places at the same time on your phone, why can't I go to one place? And I think for our younger veterans, and I think we talked about this in our office, for our older veterans, there's a different way they need to have personal phone. My dad, who's probably watching right now, he wants to be on the phone.
Right.
But the rest of them, pick up the phone. Let me get my 3 appointments and be done with it.
Yeah. And I thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will follow up in writing with you about the one last question I wanted to talk about, which was just the implementation of the Dole Act. Home care is incredibly important. It should be the wave of the future because most people want to age at home or get their care if they have chronic illness or disabilities at home. Something near and dear to my heart and the heart of veterans, and I look forward to working with you on that.
And just briefly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to be real brief about it. That is something with this bat, I'm very proud of what y'all have accomplished there, but it's going to now take us implementation to make sure we do it right. If I'm confirmed, you'll have that commitment.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Hessen, thank you. Senator Cassidy.
Hey, Congressman Collins, great job in the chair. You're going to be a fabulous Secretary of the VA, and you're going to have my support. You're a Georgia Bulldog fan, but that's okay. I mean, not everybody can be a Go Tiger.
Go Dogs.
Listen, I've been concerned because there's such a backlog in terms of people applying for VA disability benefits from whatever program there is. It just doesn't happen. And when it finally happens, sometimes the person's dead. Now, when I speak to people and read about the use of artificial intelligence, someone says it's the perfect bureaucrat. That once you set on the facts, it can process a tremendous amount of information next to instantaneously and come up with the same decision based upon the same set of facts over and over and over. Now, but also learn it's only something that happens if you lean into it. If you just say, well, it's really great, we'll get there when it happens, it never happens. If you say, we are going to set up a system in which we red team it, and we're going to compare it to our best reviewers. We're going to then compare the best reviewers to the AI, and whichever is different, we're going to figure out why it's different. And if the AI is not as good, we're going to continue to refine it until we can scale it. And a veteran does not need to wait for his or her benefits. What do you think about that vision?
Listen, guys, listen.
I wish it wasn't being presented as such a novel concept because it's really true. We can do that, and as you from your medical profession and looking at why are we not using AI and the benefits of IT to actually take, especially from the benefit perspective, and take the ones that are, quote, easy, the ones that match the box that we can get out of the way so that we can actually still hands-on those that are a little bit more difficult. Here's some numbers that maybe I'm sure you're familiar with and this committee is familiar with, and I'm proud of. Under President Trump and the previous administration, the backlog on the benefits cases got down to 65,000, I believe. In the past 4 years, there's been 130,000 billion added to the budget and almost 70,000 employees. And right now there's a 265,000 backlog, down from almost, I believe, double that. We've went up with everything else. Why are we not able to get out some of these in better ways? And that means doing efficiency, looking at AI, looking at other technology, not just from the benefit perspective, but also from the medical perspective as well. We've got a healthcare record system that is non-existent right now that we're going to have to do, as you said, that red team approach, as your wording was. So I'm looking for every possible way that I can make it better. Why would I be satisfied for a system that is old and outdated or non-existent when my goal and my purpose and my mission is to take care of a veteran.
Now, let me suggest, because one thing that happens here is that the agency says, give us the money and we'll come up with a system. And then 2 years later, and then 2 years later, and then 2 years later, till you finally pull the plug. So somebody once said you should go out on your bid and say, we want the system at least to be run on a pilot method within 6 months. Because what you're getting is people who already know how to do it, indeed are already doing it in one form, and they're adapting their system to yours. Now, I would suggest as we work as a team, that we come up with something that we would say, okay, you got 6 months to do it, and then we're going to do it. If we see veterans who have been waiting forever to get their stuff, getting it quickly, getting it appropriately, not too much, not too little, then we can take it to scale. But other agencies have just taken the money, and it's become a black hole. So thoughts about that?
My main thought about that is someone who's been on this hill and dealing with budgets, and it was the very thing that most of us go home and do town halls. They do not understand how we do appropriations up here. They do not understand how we spend money up here. They don't get to do that at home. They don't get to do it with their own budget. So when we tell them, oh, we're spending money, but show nothing for it, that's something that's a foreign concept, and I think it's fostered the distrust that we see. So for me, setting deadlines is the only way you get things done. Setting deadlines and appropriate measures and metrics are the way you get things done. I am going to be one that is actually going to say, here's the defining aspect of what we've been given. Let's use the best results. Let's use the best processes. Let's use the employees we have and the best people.
I like that. As opposed to 10 billion, figure it out. It's going to be, here's a chunk of money. If you can show you can do it, we'll take it to scale. But if not, we're pulling the plug and going someplace else. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Cassidy. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on your chairmanship. It's good to be on another committee with you. Congressman, welcome. I really enjoyed our conversation. I'm not going to speak further on privatization of VA and my opposition to it. You know, I think that you would agree, would you not, that VA is uniquely suited to provide the highest quality of health care to veterans, and that privatizing VA would create a significant challenge wherein veteran care would be outsourced to providers not equipped for this specialized training, directly impacting the quality of care afforded to veterans.
Senator, again, it was good to talk to you. You would not believe how many times I've used our conversation in discussions with CBOX and other things. So it's been good to see. Of course, I mean, I think when you look at this issue, that the VA is uniquely positioned to deal.
Let's pause for a moment, because people really believe, MCM, that he really got these numbers down low. Now, MCM is the VSO, okay? Do not get me started on his numbers. Maybe the line for the new claims is down, but please get us the real numbers for the supplemental claims, the HLRs, and the BVA. So while the claim numbers went down, the numbers on supplemental claims, HLRs, and BVA claims have severely increased. But guess what? The dashboard is not showing these numbers right now. Those numbers are not being put on the dashboard. Okay? So while he's around here making all these Facebook posts about the numbers being down, I can tell you, based on the amount of consultations requests that I have got, the number for supplemental claims, HLRs, I have people calling me talking about, should I get an IMO? I need an IMO. What doctors do you have? Because I need a nexus letter. I need all of this stuff.
With veterans, and has the data, which you and I talked about, that can provide not only help for our veterans currently in the system, but even outside the system, using that data then to help others outside. We have a unique control group, if you would, that can actually look at that. So I think with someone we can definitely continue to work on. And as I've stated before, there'll always be a VA health care center for those veterans that come home.
Yeah, just keep VA, the medical center, home, and then if they need care for their specialized treatment, they can go somewhere else. But as long as the VA know what's happening and is keeping track, I think that's really important for the veterans' best health.
I think as we do it efficiently and appropriately, and we make sure the veteran is the center of that, that's exactly what we need to do. You and I mentioned this, that I think we need more the issue of women's veterans coming in, which are a large population of our veterans coming in now, making sure that if they want to receive that care in the VA, for instance, right now, there's depending on discussion, lack of mammogram equipment. Those are things that are at large VAs who satisfy a large number of female veterans. They're having, to do that. If they wanted to stay in, they couldn't. So I think working it both ways is where we need to be.
Yeah, I think the medical, what is the best medical treatment is where we need to go. I mean, in the case of mammograms, you need somebody who reads thousands and thousands of mammograms. And if you only take care of a small number of female veterans, I wouldn't want to have my mammogram read by someone who only reads 100 mammograms a year, as opposed to a partner organization like that rural hospital or somebody who reads thousands of mammograms so that they can better spot any problems.
Exactly. And that brings me to, I'm going to sort of maybe jump ahead of you a little bit. I think it goes back to your discussion we had in the office about the CBOC and the rural hospital issue that they could. And I think what you made was a very good point. And I'm going to take it a step further about what you just said, though. It's the sharpening of skills. For those of us who've been to Iraq and have been to Afghanistan, we saw trauma and emergency care at its finest. I mean, if they came through the Heroes Highway at Balad, 98% of those made it back home alive. Now, some of them didn't. You were one that didn't. There's some who didn't, but they got back home. And I remember a time that I sat with a young man who I was with him and prayed with him, and he had I'll never forget him because he had blonde hair, blue eyes. And I went back later that evening, and he was gone. They'd already got him on a plane and got him later. A week and a half later, I looked at Stars and Stripes, and I saw his picture. But I was comforted by knowing he was back home when he passed. That is sharpening of skills. And in the VA, we need to have that. We have to make sure that our veterans are getting that same kind of treatment so that our skills and their treatment are matching.
Wonderful. Thank you. If confirmed, will you commit to working with myself and my colleagues on this committee to strengthen and refine VA policies that improve wait times and access to VA healthcare rather than resorting to privatization?
Yes, I think that is what we're looking at right now is a VA that has the VA healthcare system. And again, it goes back to the service of the veteran. And if anytime, I'll say it again, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. When they have to call my office when I was in Congress or your office now, that is a failure from the VA. And it's not a failure on the people. So for anybody try to twist what I'm saying, it's not what I'm saying. The VA has a mission to take care of veterans. If for some reason the veteran is not able to get that care, then we need to step up and make sure they answer why. So yes, trimming down wait times, making sure they get that, because some of the things we could be missing are preventative care that could actually help us long-term in our cost perspective if we're catching it early.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned preventative care. Right now, preventative health care is something that patients in the Affordable Care Act or other places do not have to pay for their preventative care. So your prostate cancer screening, your mammograms for breast cancer, colon cancer screening, your statins for your cholesterol medication, you don't pay a copay for that, but veterans do. Would you confirm, will you support making a non-controversial common sense fix to ensure that VA coverage aligns with that of commercial healthcare and TRICARE and help me eliminate the copays for veterans for preventative healthcare?
I look forward to working with this committee on that because I do believe, as you do, that the preventive aspect of that is very important.
Thank you. You're back, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so let me pause there because everything else was really not that important. So this leaves me with a few questions for you guys. Do you believe that veterans have seen meaningful progress since Secretary Collins have taken office? Blonde hair, blue eyes, but not going there. Fast forward to a few months ago, Senator Duckworth called, yes, for not releasing information prior to a hearing. He showed up, yeah. She called him out also for not even answering her emails. Okay, meaningful, but in the wrong direction. Thank you for answering. Okay. Some people believe that he's doing a great job. What promise do you think that you have seen him make promise? I mean, he's made progress the most. What promise did you see that he made that he has made most progress in? Get rid of tier meds. Yeah. What progress? What promises did he make that you guys have seen him progress in? And there's a lot of promises I know that he's made that still needs a lot of work. Those are some questions that we need to consider. Silence. Correct. Silence. It's not, yeah, it's silence. Nobody's saying, yeah, silence. Has communication from the VA leadership met your expectations as a veteran? Are you able to communicate with the leadership at your VA facility and have it meet your expectations? Or when you go to speak to the leadership, they don't have the time of day because they don't even have enough employees to do the job. So they're doing their job and other jobs as well. These are questions for us to think about. My last question is, what should Secretary Collins prioritize over the next year? Because time is ticking. What should he put to the forefront for the next year? Now, I know that you guys have been watching when it came to TCAVA. He has not said a hot word, okay, about TCAVA. He hasn't said anything about TCAVA at all. There has not been a sound from good old Douglas, okay? We have not heard him say a word. Somebody needs to go check on him to make sure that he's okay. He has been silent. Send a smoke signal. Let us know that you're alive. Now, you see all of this uproar that's going on. If you are the Secretary of the VA and you want to make sure that veterans are feeling comfortable in everything that is happening, you would at least give them some type of information, give some type of recourse, come to the forefront, call a town hall. Has anybody went to a town hall with Doug Collins since he's been in charge? Anybody's been to a town hall? Anybody's met with him? Anybody had any type of community hearing, community sit down with him where he sits down and answers questions from veterans? Because according to them, veterans give them this information. I'm just trying to find out where these veterans at that they talk to. It's got to be in a different country. It can't be in the good old America. But I'm just trying to figure out, where is he at? Where is he at? Where's Dougie? Where's Dougie? Where's Douglas? We can't see him. We can't hear him. I don't know if he's over there on X making, any kind of post, because I'm really not over there. But he has not said a word concerning anything about what's been happening lately. The last thing that I saw from him was that he was trying to get veterans to sign up for Steak and Shake. Okay? Steak and Shake. I ain't seen nothing. Let me see here on Facebook what we got going on, because I haven't seen anything from the good old secretary, Doug Collins. Nothing on TCAVA, nothing on anything that's going on right now. Nothing. We haven't seen anything. We haven't heard him saying anything. There's absolutely not a sound. This is currently what is happening on his social media page right now. This is currently what's happening right now. There's absolutely nothing about TCAVA. There's absolutely nothing about what happened the other day. 38 new VA clinics under President Trump, because you know he likes to praise the man with the dead hand. He talks about the number of new veterans that's been enrolled in the VA healthcare system this year, 200,000 plus, because you know he is big on numbers. Somebody put 200,000 more veterans for you to deny appropriate and timely medical care to. 200,000 more veterans for you to physically, and I can't, hold on, let me see if I can click on it. But my computer is not, but here we go. Okay, this is what Dougie is doing. This is what he's doing. He slashed the paperwork from 20 pages down to 7 for DIC. You know, the VA provide more than 82 million direct care appointments in physical year 2025, which is an all-time high. He was out here, whatever this is that he's doing at the NASCAR. He was out here taking pictures and smiling. The day that they had the TCAVA hearing, he was over here sitting in somebody waiting room right here, talking about enrolling in VA benefits. Here he go, the man with the dead hand. They both look like whatever they look like. There we go. Here he go right now doing this, but there's not one ounce of information about TCAVA. Everything he talks about is about President Trump. Here he go with this other one, talking about psychedelic drugs and how they play a role for TBI. Okay? He talked about the psychedelic therapy and the partnership that will impact 1 million veterans. Okay? So, you know, he talks about rest in peace to Lindsey Graham. He went all kinds of places. He talked about the backlog, but has yet to say one single word. Now, he puts veterans first, but he has yet to say one single word about TCAVA. Yep. One single word. My primary wants me to keep taking my meds away. I wonder if that's this new directive. Could be part of it. Yep. He's promoting Steak and Shake. Yep. He ain't said nothing about that. Nothing. He has not said a word, guys. A word. Correct. Have a good night. Have a great week. Yeah. This is the man that says he cares about veterans. I wonder how many veterans that have had verbal confrontations with old Dougie while he's on his national VA tour. Because you know right now he's touring, guys. He's touring to make sure that the 17 under 22, he wants to go on all different platforms to make sure that veterans know that they have mental health facilities that they can go to if they're facing anything, any types of, you know, suicidal thoughts, etc. So that's his goal right now, that he wants to be out there in the public's eye to make sure that veterans know that they have resources that can help them. That's right now what he's doing. So that's how I watched him on the Unscripted podcast, and I heard him talk about all these different things while he was on there. Yes. So if anybody has seen it or heard from him, let him know that we over here are looking to see how much progress he has made while he has been the secretary since January of 2025. And here we are in July of 2026. The VA has proposal to cut sleep apnea and tinnitus, and they're going to propose other things to cut as the year go by, but he has yet said anything. Now, when the medication thing came about and it was on him, he jumped on X really quick and he made sure that he told them that they needed to put a halt to it. But when it comes to the Major Richard Starr Act, when it comes to everything involving TCAVA, there is no Douglas Collins to talk. There's no words from Douglas Collins at all. Have a great week, GY. And this is why we go back to look at what he said compared to what he's doing now, and that answers all of our questions. Every single one of our questions. The man who says that he cares for veterans and he puts veterans first has yet to come out of the box to say anything about recent events with the VFW, DAV, Representative Bose. Nothing. He has nothing to say. Didn't call a town hall, didn't call a ninja, didn't call nobody. But he's the person that's, yep, I should have put him on a milk cartoon. You are definitely right. He did. He did. He took hard questions. He did. He did town halls. He answered and he was put on the spot and he took it like a champ. He did. He certainly did. But where is Dougie? Where's Douglas? Where's he at? We have to put some type of APB out on him because we are not getting any kind of response. Is he sitting over there with Mitch McConnell holding his hand? Are they buddies? What are we doing? We can't even find Mitch. Where's Mitch McConnell? Where is he? We don't know. Yeah, if it was a different administration in this role, they would have been talking about why the secretary hasn't said anything, why he's not doing this, why he's not doing that. But nobody has said anything at all about Doug Collins not even saying a word about this situation with sleep apnea and tinnitus. Now, you remember Representative Bose said that he had a contact from the VA. It sure wasn't Dougie. It sure wasn't Douglas. But I can guarantee you something. If y'all for one reason don't think that they cooking up something behind the scenes, you got another thing coming. If they're implementing this whole sleep apnea and tinnitus situation, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's something else cooking up behind the scenes. When they start being quiet, they are making. More likely he's holding up Mitch. What? Dougie was so gracious to inform the committee that he was retiring. Yeah, he said everything else. I'm not defending Doug Collins on this, but I know that all these problems didn't just pop up when he took the job. The last guy took millions in bonus. I don't know if Doug Collins have yet. I'm not saying that the last guy did an amazing job as well. I'm just saying that the last guy, when he made mistakes, he owned his mistakes. I have yet to hear the secretary make and own talk about any mistakes that he's made. Everything seems to be going well. The president is happy with everything that he's doing, and veterans are miserable. So you're supposed to be advocating for veterans, or are you advocating for the man with the dead hand? Which one is it? Because he's not a veteran. The amount of comments that you guys see on his social media, okay? The amount of problems I see people come and put in his comments. Even the same people that's on the committee that write him a letter, he does not even respond. But the man that was prior to him, he responded, okay? And somebody said up here earlier where that Dougie always, he sends his information to the committee at the last minute. You know why? Because he don't even want them to analyze what he sends, because he know what he sends is a bunch of garbage. He sure didn't. He stood tall. He made mistakes. He did blow millions. He did some things that were not pleasing that he should have never done, but he never bailed on veterans. He never bailed. But anyway, I guess we'll see if he come out his hole this week. But I'm still waiting to see the data on supplementals, HLRs, and supplementals, HLRs, and what else? BVA claims. I'm waiting to see what what we got going on, because obviously ain't nothing shaking for Dougie. Ain't nothing shaking. Everything that we have going on right now, you can't hear nothing from Douglas. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But before we go, there is something that I wanted to share with you guys that I seen on TikTok earlier today, which has blown me out of the water. Okay? I want to show this.
TikTok, I need you guys to find me a lawyer right now because
It's going
VA.
so fast that I can't even. I wanted to show you guys something. Let me make sure. Can you guys see this? Am I sharing my screen? Let me know if you can see this. Can you guys see this? Am I sharing my screen? I think I am. No town halls in the last 2 years. Dougie is off dancing somewhere, trying to resist the urge to go over to Twitter and get smacked. Okay, so I want you guys to hear this before I go. Okay? Before I go, listen to this. Okay, hold on. Thank you.
I need you guys to find me a lawyer right now because VA Claims Insider is trying to say that I owe them $10,000 when their whole statement in the beginning was that they're a free private company that helps veterans get.
I hope I don't get a a strike. So this guy is saying, and I'll put the I'm gonna put it in the comments, that VA Claims Insider is saying that he owes them $10,000. He paid them, I think he paid them $764, I think. And they have sent him some documents saying that he owes them $10,000. Hey, Toya. Yes. At first, he said that he owed them $734, and it went to $10K. Okay. Yes. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Yeah, there were a part where the AG went after them. Yes. So recently he filed his claim with them, and they originally gave him a bill of $734, and then they ended up giving him a bill for $10K. Yeah. And the comments on TikTok is not going to disappoint. But you haven't heard anything. Hey, Toya, thanks for joining. You just got off work. I hope you had a good day. Yes. The VA secretary calls out CAN anti-veterans by last heard. Oh, I have to go check that out. But yeah, I just wanted you guys to see what all of these different things that's going on, and you get nothing from Douglas. Nothing. I sure would. I was then Ken Paxton the bill and slept. But I see in the comments, a lot of people said that one of the comments said that they changed their phone number because they called them so much. I used them and I changed my number. They can't find me because I move every year. And this was 5 years ago. They're not getting a dime from me. They are sick predators. Yes. Yeah. This is what's happening. Definitely what's happening right now. There's so much going on that, yeah. So the gentleman is looking for a lawyer because he can't believe that they want him to pay $10,000. I guess they filed his VA claim and whatever contract he signed. So guys, be careful. Anyway, I have been up here hanging with you guys for 2 whole hours. That was what I had for you guys tonight. Natural and FF will be back next week. Don't worry. We spoke today. All is well. They've been resting, but they'll be back next week to discuss some things with you guys and to give you guys some new information. Not even sure what we are going to talk about this week, but we'll have something cooking up with you. I took some notes about some things that we want to talk about. I did a members only video about independent medical opinion. I've gotten great feedback from it. I'm going to start making some members only women veterans information. Yes, you guys were good tonight. We had a time tonight. I truly, you know what? I truly enjoy you guys. We did good tonight. You know, some days we cut up. Last night we cut up bad. We cut up real bad last night, but today was really good. There's some things that I'm going to make some women veterans content when it comes to, you know, what is happening. Some of it is going to have to be members only based on, you know, some of the things that I'm going to be saying. But everything that I usually put in my members only, I've already did a live on. I just do a members only, just it could be so specific so they don't have to go through all the, you know, riffraff of looking at whatever. But thank you guys for being here with me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for everything that you continually doing by supporting my channel. Make sure that you support the other channels as well, as there's always some great information from Raider. There's great information from the Salty Marine, the Royal Rock Wellness. Dwayne has great content as well. Just make sure that you pay attention to what's happening, okay? So until next time, like I tell you guys all the time, stay informed, stay empowered, keep advocating for yourself, because you know that there is one person who is definitely advocating for you, and that is HBV. So be kind to each other. Have a great week, and I will see you guys on Wednesday, because I don't think there's any committee. Wait, I think there's a committee hearing tomorrow. Before I get off, hold on. What's tomorrow? The 20th? Hold on. There's going to be a committee hearing coming up. I think it's on the 23rd. But anyway, I will see you guys on Wednesday, and I'll talk to Natural. We'll figure out what we're going to come up and talk about on Wednesday. Until then, be kind, be nice, love you guys down, and have an amazing week. Take care. Bye.
You're not alone, you got a voice, stand strong, stay informed.